Dear friends, today we will discuss about the third part of our talk, mind and its modifications. I would like to take up different various issues related with this subject. And today, after having discussed regarding the nature of Chittakash, Chittakash and Mahakash, it is most important to understand how to reduce Chittakash so that the Chidakash may increase, because for the benefit of a human being lies in reducing his or her own Chittakash and extending or increasing the Chidakash, because that is what is the purpose of life. All other living beings except human beings, they are not capable to do this, because only human being is known as karma yoni. They are capable to do new acts, or they can perform such acts as can elevate their life. But other animal beings or creatures, they have not been endowed with that type of facility or capabilities. So now this is most important issue, to know how to live in this world, how a human being can live in this world so that he is able to maintain his status quo. Status quo means in his next lives he can be born as a human being. If he cannot go higher up, if he cannot attain divinity, at least he can attain his status, the present status of a human being. He should not go down or fall down to the lower species. For that, a very scientific system has been evolved by the Vedic Vedic seers and rishis, or the Vedic sages, and they give that system to human beings. They gave that system to us so that we may understand the entire riddle of the human life. This human body is the part of the material world, and the soul, human soul, is the part of that spiritual world. In fact, a human being is a soul. A human being is not the body or the mind. That what we consider always, and when we consider ourselves body, we are to die. And when a human being is able to realize his self, that his true nature is the self, soul, and not this physical body, then he becomes immortal. So this realization, I'm using the word realization, I'm not using the word knowledge or information. By my words, you can get this information that you are a soul and you are not a body. But to realize this fact, you will have to you will have to put your own efforts. Then only you are able to realize that you are a soul and not this body. So this body pertains to the material world, and the soul in us, that pertains to the spiritual world. There are two terms have been used for material world and the spiritual world. these two terms, technical terms, there is no need to translate them. I think if we are going to translate them, we are going to confuse us and even others. The terms are Sat and Asat. The spiritual world, the spirit, is called as Sat, and this material world is known as Asat. There are few scholars and modern philosophers. They translate Sat as a real and Asat as unreal, sometimes Sat as existent, Asat as a non-existence. This is foolishness. Don't translate. If you want to know the real meaning behind this, you just define them. And Sat, in other words, if I define Sat, Sat means ever existent, that which never changes, and Asat means that keeps on changing. So this is only the meaning. These are two things, Sat and Asat. Sat is a spirituality, the spirit, soul, Brahman. This word has been used to denote the spiritual aspect, and the word Asat has been used to denote the material aspect. So, when a seer says, when a seer prays, Asatoma Sadgamayaha, what he wants to say? He wants to pray that Asatoma Sadgamayaha, lead me from Asat to the Sat. How? How you can pray to the God for leading you from Asat to the Sat? Because generally all human beings, they consider themselves as the body, physical body. They never go beyond that. That is why when some our kith and kin dies, we say he has died. When he leaves his body, he says he has died, because we are thinking that we are this body, this physical body. We are this physical body. So the seer prays to the God and he says, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Now, Asatoma Sadagamaya. He wants that I should not consider myself as the body, physical body, but I must know my true nature, that is Sata or soul. And the next phrase in this Upanishadic shloka, or it has occurred in Shakpat Brahman also, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. You know, this knowledge of the material world is, in previous lecture also I told, the knowledge of this material world is known as avidya. The knowledge of the spiritual world is known as vidya. And knowledge of this material world is known as ajnana. And the knowledge of the spiritual world is known as jnana. So, and the knowledge of avidya, or this material world, will lead you to the darkness. And the knowledge of the vidya, or that spiritual world, will lead you to the light, will make you enlightened. So the seer praises Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, that I should go from darkness to the light part, enlightenment. So he is just trying to understand us that we are not this body. If we consider ourselves as the body, we are living in darkness. And if we are able to realize that we are not the human body, this physical body, we are the soul, that is known as enlightenment. And finally he says, Mrityu Rama Amritam Gamayaha. Lead me from death to the immortality. What is this? Associating or identifying yourself with the body will lead you towards the death. And if you are going to identify yourself with your soul, that realization will lead you towards immortality. So the whole phrase, whole three sentences, they are just realizing you. They just want to awaken you that you are not the body, you are the soul. Don't identify yourself with this physical body, but identify yourself with the soul. That is the prime objective of the human life. And in this connection, I would like to narrate a very beautiful story. This story has occurred in Yoga Vasishtha. There is a scholar in Yoga Vasishtha in that story, and that scholar is known as Akashaj. That scholar is known as Akashaj because that scholar knows, he was able to realize that he is not the creation of this material world, but he is the creation of the soul. Soul, this material world is visible, but soul is invisible. Just like sky is the vacuum, and he equates the soul with the sky, just like vacuum. So he calls himself that he is Akashaj. Akashaj means born of soul. That scholar was able to identify himself with the soul instead of the physical body. What happens? When he identified himself with the soul, he never died. And the death became impatient. And death told Yama that this person is not going to die. I'll have to go to the world and to bring this back, to bring this fellow back to the Yamalok, and so that he may, I would like to capture this fellow. Means the death wanted that scholar to die. So what happens? Yama allows her, permit her, okay, go and get that fellow. Then it is said in the story that the death continued to move around that scholar for hundreds of years, but the death was not able to catch that scholar. Means the scholar never died. And this embarrassed the death, and the death went again to the Yama, and death told Yama, sir, I am not able to catch that scholar. He is not dying. My all efforts have gone in vain. Then Yama laughed and told, you cannot catch that scholar, because that scholar, he has identified himself. He has realized that he is not the physical body. He is the Atman. He is the soul. So if somebody realizes that he is the soul, he can never die, and you cannot capture that fellow. So this story, what the story wants to say, the teaching of the story is that if a human being will continue to have such information in his mind that he is the body, then he is liable to die. But a human being, once he is able to have the information that he is not the body, he is the soul, he will become immortalized. So the Yama and this story of the Yoga Vasishtha is just for this awareness, just to make this awareness. What happens? Then how to lead such a life that you can immortalize yourself even while living in this world. Okay? Even while living in this world, there is no need for a moksha or emancipation, immortality. You need not live this world. You can continue to live in this world, but you will have to modify your lifestyle. You will have to modify your life system. And how to modify it? For that, the Vedas have given us the clue, the right path they have shown. And Vedas says they have divided the human life into 4 ashramas, right from brahmacharya till sannyasa. First ashram is brahmacharya, second is grihastha, householder, third one is vanaprastha, and fourth one is sannyasa. So the Vedas says, out of these 4 ashramas, only one ashrama, this grihastha ashrama or householder's life, it deals with this avidya or the material world. But the 3 ashramas, they are for dealing with the vidya or the spiritual world. In brahmacharya ashram, a student is able to attain the knowledge of both vidya and avidya. But he is able to understand in his brahmacharya ashram how to utilize vidya and how to utilize the knowledge of avidya. So when he enters the grihastha ashram, he is just utilizing the knowledge of avidya. And this grihastha ashram has been stated as the basis of all the ashramas, all 3 ashramas, brahmacharya, vanaprastha and sannyas. They are dependent upon a grihastha ashrama. Even today also, the whole nation and states, they are based upon grihastha ashrams. Because a grihasthi, he gives tax, he earns money, and he supports everything in this world. So today, everybody is living only in the grihastha ashram. They are not utilizing the other 3 facilities shown by the Vedas. So the 3 ashramas, brahmacharya, vanaprastha and sannyas, they are for doing vidya only. Means the Veda wants to say out of the 4 parts of your life, spend 1/4 for this world, for this avidya, and 3/4 for your upliftment, elevation of the human being, so that a human being may at least maintain his status quo and cannot fall down to the lower species. And the Rigveda, there is a very beautiful mantra. The mantra says, Tripad urdhvam udaita purushaha, pado asya iha abhavata punaha. Means the 3/4 of the human's efforts should be for his elevation, for his spiritual life, and pada, 1/4 of his efforts should be dedicated for this mundane world. And there is another such mantra. It says, Etavanasya mahimato jayasya purushaha pado asya vishwabhutani tripadasya amritam divi. The mantra says, Pado asya vishwabhutani. For 1/4 of his life should be dedicated for this whole mundane world. But the 3/4, tripadasya amritam divi, must be dedicated for his immortality, for the vidya. So, living in this life also, one can live as a jivana mukta. I will dedicate a special talk on this subject, on emancipation, jivana mukta, videha mukta. Here, the Veda wants to say that you can dedicate your life, 1/4 of your life for doing avidya and 3/4 for vidya, so that you may elevate yourself. Abhyudayaha yato abhyudaya nisriya siddhi. For abhyudaya, for social well-being, for this mundane life well-being, you will have to spend 1/4 of your efforts for the life, and 3/4 should be dedicated for the avidya. Then only a human being can live comfortably in this world and he can elevate himself instead of going down to the lower species. Either he will maintain his status quo or he will attain the divinity. So this is how the life has been defined in the Vedas, our Shastras, Vedic philosophy. I think this talk, through this talk, you should have been able to understand this whole mystery of the life, how to lead a life. Life is a very complicated thing. It's a gift of God. And the human life itself is known as karma yoni, where you can perform acts to elevate yourself, and all other creatures' life is known as bhoga yoni. You can only reap the fruits of the karmas done in your other lives, but you cannot make or perform new karma. So, by following this path, Vedic path, everybody can elevate himself or maintain his human life status, human being's status, and go towards the divinity. I hope this talk must have been some useful to make you understand the real philosophy of the life. Thank you.